Problem and solution. Electricity conservation, switching to renewable energy. Electricity is something that is considered most important to survive in the competitive world today. Most of us spend our days in school, and I think I speak for all that most of us plan our schedule from daybreak. Stringent restriction on usage of electricity does not necessarily refer to restricted usage of electricity in lights and fans that costs us our efficiency at work in terms of time, but rather restricting its wastage, which is to say, rein in our bad habit of leaving the lights and fans running as we leave one room for the next. We can also restrict our usage of air conditioners and microwaves, instead opting for, say, coolers and food that is capable of being stored mostly at room temperature without decay, thus limiting the need to heat it up. But of course, we cannot function without our laptops and computers in the lockdown. But we can opt for indoor and outdoor games instead of video games and mobile games that demand an unsolicited usage of a few extra joules. Yes, energy is measured in joules, and that is all we think of while working out our physics and chemistry problems. But what about the environmental impact of these few extra joules? You see, energy in our current world is vastly dependent on thermal and coal-based power plants. The shift to solar and other renewable energy is still taking place. Of course, the government is facilitating the establishment of a more solar-based energy ecosystem by sponsoring solar lamps and regulating the investment in the renewable sector by those already engaged in the non-renewable ones. The usage of energy in a non-judicial fashion is causing the release of pollutants like carbon dioxide, sulfur dioxide, oxides of nitrogen, and particulate matter. With such tiny particles floating in the atmosphere, the risk extends to those of size 2.5 micrometer. That is 2.5 into 10 to the power of -6 meters. And there is no way we can imagine the size. The smaller the size of the particulate matter, the deeper its reach into our lungs, and the denser the threat. The greenhouse gas effect is also emphasized in the process of indiscriminate use of electricity sourced from non-renewable sources. So, other than switching to LED lights, what can we do? Well, the easiest solution to imagine and the most critical one to actually implement is to achieve a shift into the renewable sector. Using solar lamps, fans, and choosing to use electricity generated by harnessing the wind, the tide, the molasses, and even the ionization that takes place in the salt water that can otherwise be difficult to use without treatment.